right, Seth Borko. What an honor and a pleasure. How you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great. It is so fun to be here with you, Will. It is excellent.
I know it's different being on the mic with you instead of behind the stage with you and Sarah. So it's a nice change of pace today, I think.
We need more of this, Will. We get your witty comments, behind the scenes. The people need to hear your voice. They need to see your
Look,
face. Come on.
look, now we're gonna give it to him today. So for those that don't know, you're head of research here at Skift, or AKA Skift Research. And I'm excited to jump into the session with you because we're covering a session that our CEO Rafat sat down with not only the founder and CEO of Sierra AI, Bret Taylor, but he's also the chairman of OpenAI, which is the creator or the owner company of ChatGPT, which is basically the Kleenex, as he mentions, of AI.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we've all
so,
heard of ChatGPT. If you haven't heard of ChatGPT yet, all right, skip this episode. You can there's
yeah,
there's a more remedial episode for you.
go to Google, type in what is
Go to Google,
ChatGPT.
type it in, talk to anyone, leave the apartment, figure out what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, 100%. But in the beginning, this happened in October of 2025 for all of our listeners. But Brett says that the agent becomes the most important digital channel for airlines, hotels, and travel brands. If you buy that, what changes first for travel companies? Is it product UX, organization structure, or other things around distribution strategy? I would love your take.
I think distribution is where this all starts. AI is really, it's in many ways like the internet, in some ways like social media, where it's very consumer led. We see this in our Skiff research survey work. Adoption and widespread usage of AI tools like ChatGPT are they're you know stratospheric, going through the roof in terms of user adoption. That's true for travel as well. So this is where the consumers are, and these technologies that live where the consumers are, they become these aggregators of demand, right? When we saw the web take off, that's how people found where you were. When we saw Google grow on top of the web and basically, categorize the world's information, make it useful, their former mission or still current mission, um, they've become these amazing digital demand aggregators. Um, and that's clearly the direction that we're going in with AI. So I think, product, especially in travel, we're not always a physical product. In fact, we're usually a service. And the service
Mhm.
probably actually doesn't change. It might even be more in demand, like that physical unwind, connecting service, hotel, flight experience. That may not change so much. Org structure it's hard to change, takes a long time to change,
Yeah.
especially when you look at something like the hotel industry with all the different owners and franchisees and management companies. That's not changing. But where consumers live, where they discover your product, your service, your brand, that has already changed. So this is 100% where the very first battleground will be. Now, the implications, the downstream effects of autonomous AI agents, and that's what Brett talks about is voice agents and even multimodal multimedia agents. The downstream effects of having agents within your organization as effectively mini employees could have huge implications on the services that you offer, on the way you structure your organization. But I think where we start is how you get discovered and how you build your brand in this AI first world.
Yeah, and great point. And I'm gonna kind of jump around here today on our discussion because Brett even says that consumer behavior is outpacing what
Yeah.
companies can even keep up with, right? With AI and how they're choosing to discover or be inspired. And so I want to kind of ask you,
And he
what
said
is
that
the
6 months
smartest?
ago.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. 6 months ago. So it's obviously still very true today. But what is the smartest play for the travel brands right now with AI in terms of distribution? Is it partnering in terms of like maybe like a Sierra AI, or is it building their own, or is it hedging and kind of doing a bit of both maybe? Um, do you think that has any importance with today's world now that we're 6 months in?
I I think you have to be building. You have to be on the front foot. You have to be taking the initiative and you have to be learning because the reality is this is a new set of technology, a new set of tools. How can you be expected to understand it and master it if you're not building it? Now, you may not ultimately be the winner. Like, I don't know that you necessarily need to bet the entire company on whatever product that you build. Ultimately, you may wind up partnering with a tech company or with someone else, but you probably need to be doing something just so that you can understand, you can kind of stress test and pressure test your how prepared your organization is for AI. And then you can kind of learn, well, actually, we tried building this in house. Here's what we got to. Here's the limitations we had. Maybe we do need to bring in a partner to figure this out. I think it's far from set where the AIs will live in. And you'll have to listen to the end of the conversation. But towards the end of the
Mm.
conversation, Rafat and Bret do get into this idea of in an agentic world of AI agents, who actually owns the data and the agent?
Yeah.
Does the supplier, the brand own it? Does the intermediary like ChatGPT or Google own it? Or do we, the customers, own it? Does the agent live on my phone and it's my personal agent? Or could it be all three working
Mm.
together? So I think the final outcome is far from clear, but it's clear that where you need to start is build in something, prototype in something. I do not think, if I'm being blunt, I do not
Mm.
think that the travel industry has its tech infrastructure and its data products ready for what is coming in AI. So I think it's time to do some spring cleaning on your data and on your tech. It's spring as we record this, and so that's probably where you want to start. Start with just doing something, and know in the back of your head that maybe you will be partnering later in the future. Maybe you will be hedging. Maybe you will be pivoting. Maybe it will. It's changing very quickly.
Yeah.
But that's where I would say companies need to start.
Well, I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the best take of the day right there. That's honestly the best take I've heard. Because it's true. AI is only as good as the data we give it. So
Yeah,
when we're yeah, anyways, you got me excited by that point. That's a great take. I don't want to
let's
take up too
go.
much time, but that was a great take. So for the listeners, that's all you need from this episode, to be honest. But I want
No,
to go
listen to
into
the whole
this
thing.
100%. Listen to the whole thing. But I want to kind of go into this world of AI where a lot of people think of AI as a tool to make themselves or their work more efficient, more streamlined, less tedious work and tasks. Very task oriented is kind of where I think a lot of people still envision AI to be. So, as you said, and as we hear in the session, the strongest point is that AI is not just automation and elimination of costs. It's actually revenue enablement through more personalized interactions and capabilities. So, what's the most practical travel example of that? What KPI should execs track first?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and actually, I was listening to this session. And it's such a good session, and people say the point of AI is automation. I like that Brett makes this point that actually a real AI agent is not just an automaton. It does not just take a set of rules
Hmm.
that you give it and then execute those rules. A real AI agent will actually make decisions that you do not expect it to make, that you did not program it to make. That's a scary thought, but that's also where the efficiency comes in. So when you see these companies, they're like,
Hmm.
we already have 1,000 AI employees. It's like, no, you have 1,000 robots that are basically just following rules. Are you
Yeah.
really trusting those robots to make decisions, like actually entrust them to make decisions that you did not predict, that you did not pre-program? That's sort of this future of AI. And again, in this session, Brett talks about how you can use that for personalization. When someone calls into your customer, and Sierra AI does a lot of voice AI customer service stuff. So how can you use those touch points, whether it's a chatbot like ChatGPT, whether it's a voice call as through Sierra, whether it's some other tool, when you have touch points with customers, how can you be smarter, more personalized, more thoughtful? And how can that being more thoughtful around your customer interactions at scale drive loyalty and revenue is sort of the conversation that we're having. Now, let's be real, there probably is there probably is some cost cutting as well. We won't, pretend there's not, but I do think that the bigger opportunity is to say like, yeah. Like we talk on the Skift Travel podcast quite a lot about loyalty and how
Hmm.
customers are much more mercenary than we realize. So like one KPI, if I was running a loyalty plan, for instance, in a hotel or an airline, and these are not publicly disclosed numbers, but if you're running the program, you'll have them, is like your engaged loyalty members versus your number of signups. Companies
Hmm.
always report the number of signups. They never actually report what percentage of that base are actually engaged, or are we giving good customer service to, or actually rate us highly. And so I would think about when I, as a loyalty member, make a booking or call in or have a request or need to make a change, If you've got 100 million loyalty members, it is hard to service each and every one of those loyalty members at scale in a personalized, meaningful, thoughtful way. Therefore, they don't feel valued by you. Therefore, they don't feel like they're actually getting loyalty. Therefore, their revenue opportunity diminishes. I would see if there's ways to use these tools to track things like more upswing in engagement, upswing in ancillary revenue, upswing in sales, satisfaction with calls. There are a million and one and net promoter score (NPS). There are a million and one KPIs to track. But I think the broader point is that you don't just track the KPI. How much did it cost me to run customer service, and how much does it cost me to run customer service with AI? You track, actually, did this customer service intervention increase the engagement rate of my loyalty plan?
Hmm.
That to me is like, in its purest form, if it's really working, those are the sort of things we'll see that are really moving the needle in a way that's not just automation, not just efficiency, but actually allowing for improvisation and personalization at scale.
Man, two great takes in one quick session. So I love it. I think that's a great comment. Cost cutting is great. I think we all want to cut costs where we can, but if we can also generate revenue while saving some money, it's a double win. And I love seeing the loyalty piece where you're putting together, not are they just using a product or signing up, but are they going across products, across services, across the company rather than just for one service tool thing offering that you have.
I mean, maybe some of our listeners are power users, platinum, elite, triple, diamond, crown jewel status. But for me, at the regular tiers, midland tiers of loyalty, I often don't feel recognized. I sign up for this
Yeah.
program, I get a loyalty number, I call in, and maybe I cut Joe Schmo by a little bit, but not by much. And the
Yeah.
answers I get, are pretty scripted. And if you have the power to say, even at a basic level of loyalty, we can begin to offer you personalized service, right? To offer you that tippity top, you need a human. To offer you the nothing, you're not a loyalty member, forget it. But how can we elevate that entry level to medium level loyalty experience in a way that drives bookings through customer service, through automation? To me, that's really cool.
100%. So good. So good. Well, for the listeners, as we said, stay tuned for this session coming up right now. There's going to be some great takeaways to hear from Rafat and Bret's discussion at our Skift Global Forum last year. So enjoy.